What's good, YouTube? DJ Kalima here, and we are back with rather than an album reaction, we are doing an album review of Charli XCX's Wuthering Heights. Now, this album came out, I believe, a week ago from when I am recording, and I actually did record a reaction video to this.
What's good, YouTube? Back at it again with another album reaction video.
Which I might splice some things in there. When I'm talking about these songs, I decided I wanted to do a reaction. I wanted to do a review after I kept listening to this album over and over again since it's released. Because I feel like I have a lot more to say about it, and it'll lead to better videos overall, if you know what I'm saying. On some Did I Plays 450 type shit. This is Charli XCX's 9th album. She really has been doing this for so long, and it really doesn't feel like she has. You know, for her early part of her career, she was very, very, very poppy, very, you know, making radio bangers, making boom claps, making I Love It, you know what I mean? And it really does feel like she's come into her own as an artist more recently, in the span of her career. Even to the point where, you know, she's getting viral entire albums and eras with Brat in the past couple years. It almost feels like she's really in the height of her career only now. But, you know, I've been following her music for a long time. I really do like most of her new albums. I found her when How I'm Feeling Now came out in COVID. Then I went back, listened to all of her albums, Pop 2, Charli. And I was a big fan of Brat when that came out. So when this album came out, I was very excited naturally. When I heard that she was doing the soundtrack for this album, I was naturally very excited. You know, new Charli music. You have to take into consideration that this is a soundtrack album. This isn't necessarily a standalone Charli project. So you have to take that into account to, you know, not get your hopes up, not be disappointed. Of course, it is new Charli music. I'm a huge fan. But overall, the track record when it comes to soundtrack albums is that their entire purpose is to just be something that supports the film. You know, is it good in the context of the film and the way that it's used in the film? It's not necessarily made to stand on its own in a lot of cases, you know. But I was quite surprised. I was quite happily surprised when it came to listening to this album. The first track, House, released as a single a lot earlier than this album came out. It became kind of a little bit of a TikTok trend a little bit. You know, it starts with a very long monologue by John Cale of the Velvet Underground fame. Very introspective, I'm assuming, very true to the world building of Wuthering Heights. Very good at setting the tone of maybe not the album, because none of the songs on this album really do sound like how this intro does sound, but maybe a good tone setter for how we are introduced to the world of the film. I really do like the second half of it. The production is kind of insane. Kind of insane. The only thing that I can really relate it to is some Ethel Cain music. Just the only thing that comes to my mind. I do really like the way that her voice sounds near the end. It's kind of insane, and I think it's a good sound for Charli. It's not a song that I would revisit quite a lot, but I do appreciate it and what it does in the context of this album and how it shares the overall vibe in that story of Wuthering Heights. And I think it's a good intro for this album. But I think that that like 2-minute intro kind of makes it a little bit hard to just listen to as a song. You know, that's just me. But then we go into the rest of the album, which has some really nice just overall soundscapes. And I think we see that really, really well with this second track, Wall of Sound. This might be one of my favorites, if not my favorite, on this album.
Oh my god. I genuinely felt like crying when this chorus first came in. Oh, got it, bro. Got it.
It's so beautiful. It's so emotional. I love how close her voice sounds on this song specifically. I know that Charli isn't necessarily like the best vocalist. She's kind of said this herself. You can hear every like crackle, every single like inflection in her voice. I really do like the melody of the chorus. It's very, very emotional, very sentimental, and I think the lyrics match perfectly with it. That chorus, it's such a just an emotional refrain. Every time I try something, inside stops me. Like it's Going into the third track, "Dying for You," I think this might be the most popular song to come out of this album, besides the singles, of course, because those were already released. But this one's hidden on TikTok, and I think there's a reason why. I think it's the most fun song on this album. A lot of these songs are very, very emotional, very ballady, very, very kind of, I want to say slow, but just very, very emotional, I think is the word. And this one, it still keeps those themes. This one has a very fast beat. She's singing in a very Charli cadence. I think one thing that is a very good highlight of this song is the lyrics. What I've heard is that her lyrics on this album are very on the nose to the story of Wuthering Heights, and I think this might be the example. So it's just a fun track. It's a fun track. It's a fun song. The next song, "Always Everywhere," very, very ethereal, very beautiful. When I first listened to it, I thought it sounded like a folklore track.
I can't escape the storm you gave me, constant lightning in my veins.
It's almost very like Taylor Swift tense, like folklore. Even her voice is sounding like folklore, no? These strings, bro, they're going nutty.
Like a song off of Taylor Swift's Folklore, and I still do agree with that. I think the way that she sings, her melodies, I mean, yeah, it's just such a beautiful song, beautiful strings. Not something that I'd revisit super often, probably only like within the album because of the type of song it is, but I genuinely think it's beautiful. And then we go over to the next song, "Chains of Love." This is also a single, and I think it's just the most straightforward pop ballad on this album.
Okay.
You bring in the drums, you keep those strings, you have very contagious chorus melodies. These chains of love are cruel. I shouldn't feel like a prisoner. Keeping up with this idea of like trapped love, dying for you, all of that. Yeah, I think it's just a very straightforward pop song. It's fun. It's not one of my favorites, but I think it's a nice straightforward pop song. And then we go over to the next song, "Out of Myself," track 6.
Oh my god.
It's not my favorite. I feel like it's a little not realized as a song. It doesn't really feel like finished. I do like the production flares on it, percussive noises, very true to Charli's sound. It's like something off of like Pop 2. But I feel like the chorus doesn't really hit when it comes in. It feels like it's waiting for a different drop, and it doesn't come, at least to me. And then the next track after that is kind of just like an interlude, an extension of that last song, "Out of Myself." And it's nice. I think it's nice, and I think it's an example of how Charli can use her voice as an instrument in a lot of ways. She does it all the time, but this is just a perfect example of that to me. But yeah, after that we have track 8, "Seeing Things." This one's a little goofy to me. That main like piano lick in the chorus. It feels kind of like it's used in a montage of a love story, going on a walk on the riverside, or they're having a tea party, they're going to movies. Like it feels like that, which isn't a bad thing. It just feels a little goofy to me. But I do really like the way that she sings on this song, like the melodies, like that main lick in like the pre-chorus.
I heard it when it first hit in the first pre-chorus, but I love that. See your face in the pain. Oh my God.
It hits every time. I really do like the way that she sings on that track. A lot of her vocal performances on this album are very nice. Like more than a standout than it is in some of her previous albums. I guess because of how orchestral and like stripped down the production is on this album compared to albums of hers in the past. It allows her vocals to shine more, and yeah, I think that's a really good example of her vocal ability. Going into the next song, Alter, has very much Lorde Pure Heroine vibes, very dark pop. I love how echoey the kick and the snare is.
I begin to cry.
Her voice is so raspy on this one. Okay.
It genuinely feels like something straight from Lorde Pure Heroine to me. And on this song specifically, she has a very thin distortion on her voice. It sounds so different from the rest of the album, and I absolutely love it. I absolutely love the way that she sounds on the chorus, and just the melodies of the chorus too. It's so catchy. I actually mess with this song heavy. I'm at your altar, baby. Ooh. Yeah, no, that hits. It hits. I this might also be one of my favorite songs of on this album. And I think it also adds to just the overall themes. Something that we haven't touched on before in this album, like how lonely this love can be in this story. You know, she has that refrain, one is not the loneliest number. It's an extension of the themes that we've explored on the rest of this track list so far, but just in a little bit of a different way, and I think I really mess with that. Then we go into track 10, Eyes of the World, featuring Sky Ferreira.
My flesh upon the cross until I scream.
I do mess with Sky Ferreira. I don't really know a lot of her solo music, but she does collaborate with Charli often, and I do like when she does. But this song, not my favorite on the album. I don't know, it also does feel a little goofy, especially the verses. It's kind of clunky the way that they trade off. One person sings, and then they speak this little part in the verse. All these suspicions, they come true. Like, I don't know. It's just a little weird to me, and I think the chorus is kind of it's a little bit of an example of Charli not being the best vocalist, because it feels like the chorus should hit a little bit harder than it does, at least from what the production is kind of asking for a little bit to me. Overall, I do think it's a nice track. It's a nice track. And then just going on to the next song, My Reminder, to me is such a classic Charli song in my eyes. It probably has the least amount of like orchestral strings on it.
Wow. This is out of nowhere.
It's very reminiscent of like I Think About It All the Time, or like I Don't Want to Know on Charli. Just some of her like slower, silly little pop songs. And I don't know. I think it really works, especially in the context of the album. It's not like it's out of context here. I think it's in a perfect spot on the track list to put it. I mean, it's the same exact place that I Think About It All the Time is, like right before the ending. Also, just thematically, you know, saying you're always my reminder of, you know, where I come from, where we originated from, you know. Again, I don't really know the story of Wuthering Heights, but I'm pretty sure, spoiler alert, that she dies, and that she kind of haunts him later on. You're always my reminder, at least from Heathcliff's perspective. Yeah, I think that's another example of how her on the nose writing lends well to the story. And then we on to the last track, Funny Mouth. All I really have for this one is that it's a wild ender, kind of like the intro. A little bit. It has a very EDM-y Charli breakdown in the middle.
Oh shit! Oh my god!
That is really nice. I mess with that. I kind of wish it did it again at the end. It kind of feels like it was kind of asking for it, a little bit, to go even harder of a drop at the end. But it doesn't, but you know, I'm fine with that. I trust her as an artist. That I wasn't too bummed by that. I think going into it, I kind of knew that I had kind of crazy, a little bit high of expectations because I'm such a big Charli fan, but you know, it's just a soundtrack album, so I didn't want to be disappointed too much, but I don't think I am. I think I really do like the overall sound of this album. Like putting Charli over orchestral strings and just soundscapes. I think it's really nice, and I think she does really well over it. And I think it's a perfect example of how versatile she really is as an artist. She's never done anything like this in her career. The fact that she does it so well is just proves to how versatile she really is. I don't think it's anything super special, but I don't think it's really trying to be. It really is just a soundtrack album. I don't know how much of it is actually used in the movie. I don't think a lot of it is, from what I've heard. Yeah, it's just a great collection of Charli music that we now have, and I'm very happy with it. Not gonna lie, doing actual formatted reviews, kind of hard. I can't lie. Low-key, I was stumbling over my words pretty often, but you know, I'm trying my best. I'm trying my best out here. Shout out Jedi Please for 50. I kind of have mad respect now. Thank you guys for watching. More album reviews on the way. And yeah, peace.